I think the most significant indictment of African Americans is their acceptance of the assertion by slave owners that they are worth nothing. And accepting that translates to our hating ourselves. This deficiency continues to live deep within African Americans. And until we learn to love ourselves, we have lost the true foundation on which real emancipation is based.
So my thought is I'll read and then we'll reflect with abandon.
All right.
That I did not want to find myself alone in the Cook County Jail with one of the guards. Stories were everywhere that the guards were a more serious threat than the other inmates. In about an hour or so, another officer arrived. He walked me in my underwear through a maze of cells, locked gates, and dark hallways. Reaching solitary confinement was a relief until they took my underwear and gave me a pullover cotton shirt that barely reached my knees. I was in a daze, so I sat on the iron frame of the bed and found myself wondering how in the world I got into this mess. The cop they were talking about my harassing was Burleigh Ginkle. I had tried to have a prayer with him at his home after everything else we tried failed to get a hearing for Richard Hagan, a former Golden Gloves boxing champion and sparring partner of Joe Louis. Hagan was stopped on a traffic violation and shot dead by Officer Ginkle, a resident of Gage Park, the community where Dr. King and those of us marching with him had been stoned during one of our open housing marches. Hagan was shot and killed in front of his 6-year-old son. The Chicago police didn't even so much as call for an internal investigation, and the black community was furious. So we marched some more, and this time to Officer Ginkle's home, where James Orange and I were arrested. I had been assured by my lawyer that I would not spend any time in jail because the statute under which I was being held had been declared null and void by the Illinois Supreme Court. But, as I feared, that did not make any difference to the judge in my case. So I was sentenced to jail.
I thought that the jail experience itself would help to explain why I was ready to go to Selma when the students called for my participation. That the jail experience intensified my commitments to action, to doing something to address the situation of the failure of the Alabama structure to encourage, permit registration of black voters.
It seems understated to me. I'm imagining the actual experience was much more ugly and devastating than comes through. Is that so?
I would say yes, it is so. Two things. Because I tend to do my best to make lemonade in the face of lemons, I almost surely will understate the experiences. In addition, I tried to recover some of the details and was just plain frustrated by not being able to dredge them up.
But the emotional details are still there. Now my guess is there's some value in pointing out to readers who might have been born way since this happened that even way back then, black men are executed for the crime of being black, and white police are not held accountable.
Well, I think that's true. That I thought the incident with Burleigh Ginkle, who in the day wasn't even subjected to any review in light of a deadly killing of an unarmed man in front of his son. I think I didn't make up my mind that was the principal message that I wanted to sort of introduce this story with. This is old news. It's infuriating. The criminal justice system fails in a number of respects. I'm in jail for charges that can't be supported by law.
So is one thing that connects Chicago to Selma is state-sponsored lawlessness?
Yes.
Now, way back then, was the language of state-sponsored terrorism or the language of terrorism used?
No.
What they did is terrorism or terror, not ism. It hadn't become an ism, but it was terrifying. Their purpose was to terrify people into submission. And then the state supported that with all sorts of legal artifacts, preventing voting, curfews, poll taxes.
And closing their eyes to outright lynchings and
Yes.
brutalizing of black families.
A white cop murdering an unknown black man in front of his son. This induces terror in the son, and the people who know this man, his community, his family, his friends, the neighbors, they all get the message. You could be next. And nothing, there is no accountability. So here you are sitting in jail. So this whole thing about stripping, standing at attention, being read the riot act, in addition to intimidation, this was an attempt to degrade you, demean you, strip you of your dignity. You were assaulted. You escaped with your life, and you converted the pain of the assault into an anger leading to action.
Yes.